Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I've decided that these plants that I ordered in the spring need a bigger home. I have them in these tiny pots like this, and I think that they might appreciate a little more space. So I decided that I'm going to take some of them and make a dish garden. Let me show you what I have here. A lot of them aren't labeled. This is a Gymnocalacium saglionis, and someone told me what this is, but I forgot. I'll have to go back and refer to that. I always appreciate IDs. This is a Mamalaria Elongata. This is some type of Mamalaria as well. And I just have this nice little grouping here. I don't know if they'll all fit, but aren't they cute? And let me show you the pot I'm going to use. Isn't this pretty? I got this at a consignment shop, and I always love to thrift for pots because you can find some really nice things. And I just drilled a hole in the bottom myself with a diamond drill bit. So I feel like it's a shallow enough dish that I'm not going to put too much soil around my plants, which of course would lead to rot. So I'm going to be using Miracle-Gro cactus mix, if you can see it. I don't think you can see it so well. Let me put it back here. And this works okay for me. I just happen to have it on hand, and it's what's readily available in my area. So it's a nice fast draining mix. And on top of that, I'm going to add some grit. And this is a totally new experience for me. Let me see if you can see what this is. This is Poultry Grit. And it's crushed granite. And I didn't know this, but chickens need it for maintaining proper digestion. So it says, help maintain proper digestion in your flock by adding Mana Pro Poultry Grit. Now it says it has probiotics, so I hope that's okay for plants. But I was looking for a small bag on Amazon of grit, and I came across this, which was a really good price. I think it was $5 or $6 for the bag. And I thought maybe this would be better than perlite. Perlite always seems to raise to the top, and these plants came in a lot of perlite. So I figure they're used to a lot of drainage and they've done well. So I'm going to give them grit and make sure that there's not too much water being held around their roots. So let's get started. Now, I don't recommend this. I might recommend it in 6 months. I have to see how it does with the plants. The only thing I'm not sure about is the probiotics. But maybe that's good for the soil too. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and add some of this cactus mix at the bottom. And then I'm going to add lots of this grit. And here's what it looks like. It looks like, it looks like crushed granite. So I feel like that's a good addition to this. It's going to make it drain really, really well. And I'm going to add a lot. I'm going to add about, I'm going to add maybe 40% grit. So it drains really, really well. That's the point with cacti and succulents. You want a very fast draining mix. You don't want that moisture held around the roots. And I don't have any chickens, so hopefully my plants will enjoy this. Believe me, I've asked for chickens and my husband didn't think it was a good idea. We live in the suburbs. So I would like to have chickens for eggs. But of course that's a lot of responsibility, having livestock and pets. But I think this is a nice rocky mix now. So hopefully this is going to simulate desert drainage here. And I think I'll add a little more soil. And we'll see how many of these plants I can tuck in. There we go. Now, it's always nice to put contrasting shapes and textures in. That's always nice for an interesting dish garden. I'm using a lot of this grit. This is actually a bigger pot than I thought. So I'm glad I'm adding a lot of grit material. Make sure everything is going to be draining very well. And of course there's still perlite around the plants that I'm going to plant. Okay, so I've been looking at this guy. I think this is a wonderful one to start with, and he'll be a nice tall column feature. And I would recommend doing repotting when your soil is dry. It's just easier to get the plants out. I just happened to water yesterday, not even planning ahead that I was going to be doing a replanting, a repotting. But there's the first plant in there, and I love that white color next to the green pot. Alright, let's see what else would look nice with it. I think this is a very fine texture, and this one has just kind of bigger geometrics to it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put that one in. I'll straighten everything out at the end. And like I said, there's plenty of perlite around these plants. So since these were just watered, I'm not going to be watering these for a couple weeks. I want to make sure that they dry out. And we did have flooding yesterday. I do have a few leaks in my polytunnel, so sometimes the plants get wet on top of my watering. But I'm not going to water these in case any roots were damaged. I'm going to let it, with the repotting, I'm just going to let them settle in and dry out really well. Okay, let's see what else we can put in there. This one's really interesting. This is kind of a very deadly spine. This has the fish hooks on it. So that one, if you get it in your finger, it's very hard to unattach yourself. So of course I'm wearing some gloves, which I hope do the job. But let's put that one in there. I feel like that's a nice contrast. And it also has orange spines. So this is really fun. It's nice to get big plants, but when you have small ones, you can group them together like this in a dish garden and really make a little masterpiece you can be proud of. Okay, I think that's good. I think I'm going to add 2 more. And I think I'm going to leave the tall one out. That can be planted on its own. I think this is a good one, and this looks quite similar. I'm going to go for this one on the edge here, and I'll put this one in too as well. Let me know what you think this one is, guys. It's got ridges on it and beautiful, beautiful spines. But I do always appreciate when people chime in, let me know what they think something is. Because many of these things come, if you order them by mail or if you buy them in a big box store, a lot of them just come as, 2-inch cactus is what the label says. And that's just not very helpful. So let's see here. Get that in there. Alright, it's starting to fill up quite nicely. I think I'm going to put one here and then maybe an interesting rock, which I don't have at the moment, but we can find one later. Sometimes it's nice to put interesting things on top, either a top dressing or a rock which will look like a boulder in the desert. We're trying to get that desert look. And actually, I may go for this big one because it's a completely different color. It's got a orangey, yellowish spines, and I think it'll add some more height, which could be nice. This one's not quite deep enough. And I don't want just all little, spherical shaped plants in here. It's nice to have that variety. So one last plant. This one has a lot of pups on it. My Mamalaria Elongata. Okay. There we go. Oh, I actually like how that looks. So I have two columnar ones and 3 spherical ones, and I think that's a really nice mix. Everything's falling all over the place here. Oh, and I just got stuck on my little fishhook plant. I think I need to scoop out a little dirt on this one to get this last one in. Okay, that's good. Okay, guys. And this is a lot more soil around their roots than they have been used to all summer in the drought. So I'm really going to let this dry out. It's really important to do that. And make sure that those roots are not going to rot. Okay. And I didn't bring a brush up here to clean it up or anything. I'll be sure to take a picture of this afterwards. Alright. Now I've gotten dirt everywhere. So, it's not always easy putting these little projects together, but in the end I'll make sure it looks good and nothing has dirt on top. And I think just to finish it off, I'm going to put some more of this grit on top. That'll, not too much, I don't want to hold moisture in, but I just think it'll add a nice finishing touch if I have that gravelly look on the top. So let me put some more of that on the top. And this granite, this crushed granite is actually a nice gray color. Let me know if you've ever used chicken grit on your cactus projects or mixed into your soil. I just thought, you know, it's such a good price. It's kind of sad people don't spend a lot on their chickens. I guess that it has to be, it's got to be reasonable if they're going to give it to chickens. Add a little bit more of this. But hopefully my plants will like it as much as any chickens may. So I'm not completely covering it with a very thick level. Like I said, I don't want that moisture to be trapped in. I just want it to look pretty. And I think this will do the job. Add a little bit more soil over here. And I love this green container. I think it looks great. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it's a nice gravelly top, a nice gravelly mix. And I'm going to put these pots for use. So I have 2 left, which I think they're okay for now, and they're small pots, so they can stay on their own like that. But 5 of them have gotten a new repot. And I'm going to clean this up with a little brush, and then I will get back to showing you how it cleaned up, and you can see a top view of the cactus garden. This is how it looks before I clean it up. But I think it's great to pack them in pretty closely. I just don't think they need a lot of soil around their roots. It's not a good idea. So I'm going to turn the camera off, clean it off, and then we'll look at the top view. And here we have the finished product. I went ahead and added a few small boulders to my cactus scape here. But I really like the combination of plants. We have a mix of the spherical and the columnar, and a mix of textures, a mix of colors. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I feel like it's a really, the soil is pretty wet, but I'm going to let that dry out, and it may only get it 1 more water before the season ends. So we'll have to see. I'm really happy with how that little dish garden came out. I feel kind of guilty that those cacti were in their tiny little pots for all summer, But honestly, I don't think they like much soil around their roots. It's much better if their roots are dry. So guys, that's my dish garden, and I hope you enjoyed watching me put it together. I'm really pleased with it, and every now and then I just like to take the plants I have and put them in an arrangement like this. It's just a fun, creative project for me. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.